Okay.
All right.
We're back. Suburbs to sandy shorelines. Why? Because we're in Chicago. Oh, there's my camera. Okay. We can do it any way we want. We can do it any way we want.
Yeah.
Okay. It's real. We're
Yeah.
going to make it real.
Okay.
This is how we overtake Joe Rogan. We just keep it real. So Suburbs to sandy shorelines, Chicago, Naples representative, but you're both back and forth.
Correct.
So
That's it.
I wanted to, if we can dive in, it's, late January, and this is historically in the industry is where, okay, here's where the spring market starts ramping up.
Exactly. We're waiting for it.
Yeah, and I would say from the pre-approvals, they are ramping up.
Yeah.
But then the locks aren't there, like the commitments go in there. And this has to address is the inventory situation, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, what's your take on that? Because you have the buyers who are excited and, they won't pay if they have to pay, and then they miss out.
Uh-huh.
But what are you dealing with? Yeah.
Yeah, just like you said, historically, we're in, January here. We have the Super Bowl coming up.
I grew up in
February
Kansas City,
9th.
by the way. I grew up in Kansas City.
Did you really? Okay,
Yes,
so
I
we
did.
know who you're going for.
Yeah.
So some Kelsey and Mahomes, huh?
Speaking of that, just so
Yeah.
you know, that when they cheat, I was a huge professional wrestling fan growing up, and I loved all the bad guys. So if you have a problem with the Chiefs and the refs, I didn't see anything. So
Oh, okay.
there we go.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I
there we go.
gotcha. We'll see what happens. You and I will place a bet later on, but
there we go.
But
anyway,
anyways,
go ahead. Yeah.
So back on track here. So we're waiting, right? So you have a ton of pre-approvals, like you said. You have buyers ready to go, but what are they going to make a move on? So again, reiterating Suburbs to sandy shorelines, establishing business in this market. And it's difficult, considering there isn't a lot of inventory to work with. We have all these buyers, pre-qualification in hand, but what are they going to make a move on? And I see this day to day, particularly this time of year, for sure.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time spent.
Lots.
Right? That you're out there. And are they disappointed what's out there, or not? Just not much to see?
There is a sense of disappointment, I think with the market, because, there just isn't a lot of activity, and certain buyers have specific needs, depending on what they're looking for, but there's just not a lot to look at. So it's not even a matter of being out there, showing property, because there's really nothing, or not too much to show. So what a lot of it is kind of behind the scenes type of work, and that's where I wanted to get into when it comes down to working with a buyer's agent or broker. It's really in this type of very, very tight market, who you hire matters. You really want to get in bed with somebody, per the new NAR lawsuit in the buyer broker agreement, somebody that's well connected and has the time and resources to scour off market opportunities. That's what I wanted to get into today.
And this is important when you think about that with little inventory. We talked about that NAR settlement where we work in interesting industries where what we make is always questioned, and it's negotiable. My son had shoulder surgery. It didn't even occur to me to talk to the anesthesiologist and ask what his fee was.
Exactly.
Whoa. Or the doctor. Like it's a minor surgery. It's going to take a half an hour. So can I get a discount fee? That's ridiculous.
It's a service. They're providing the service, just like you and I, right? But we're paid on performance.
But in a case like that, this is when you need to lock it down, because it matters. Because if they're going to go out there on their own, or not, you're not finding what you need, they need guidance. I always look at it, make my life easier. I'm not in that. If I was in that position, here's what I want, please go find it for me, make my life easier. This concept that no one should get paid and everything can be online, I think it eventually it'll come full circle. They realize I need to work with a broker, and they need to be paid.
Absolutely. You're missing out big time. And a lot of my business development plan is, with Secret Fine Homes team in Barrington, we have a lot of opportunity. We have listings coming up, listings on the market all the time. We're a top producer in the Northwest suburbs, so we have plenty of inventory, considering a very slim inventory type of market space. And again, back to my business, model here and lead generation, it doesn't get better than open houses. Really, it's been tried and true through many, many successful teams throughout the nation and in the country, that a lot of buyers are doing their own due diligence, which entails them being on Zillow, Homes.com, Redfin, one of the many big box websites, and doing their own type of viewing, showing due diligence, trying to, do without a representative,
Yeah.
an advocate, as an agent or a broker, and you're not doing, it's an injustice. You're not doing yourself
To
a
themselves,
favor.
though, to themselves,
It is,
right?
absolutely. You're
Yeah.
missing out.
I mean, it's been 20 some odd years since 2000. The .com was a big deal where I
Yep.
remember, the mortgage industry was going to be completely online.
Uh-huh.
And during the lockdown, when rates were so low and everything was a refinance, all these online lenders came and they killed it. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, they're just refinances.
Yeah.
There's no deadline when it has to close. It's a cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
We've segued into the purchase market and they're just getting killed.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
that human touch still matters.
Yeah.
Why you're requesting certain stuff. What type of insurance you need. That stuff kind of matters. It's the same concept there.
Yeah.
If you don't want to pay for something, there'll be a result for that. It's just, so I think that's the lesson here type.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it matters who you work with.
Absolutely.
Especially in this market. If
For
there's
sure.
nothing there,
Yes.
it's great.
Yes.
I can go search online and what is it? Trulia or Zillow. I
Exactly.
can put in a search. That's all the information, but that's
You're just
looking
going
at
to
pictures.
see. You're going to see what syndicates from the local MLSs. You can find for sale by owner opportunities,
Right.
but in this type of market, more likely than not, if it's a for sale by owner opportunity, it's going to be exuberantly way overpriced, way over fair market value.
Correct,
And
yeah.
if you're coming in with a mortgage, it's not going to appraise. So those are big problems right there. But, I always like to reiterate this and just make it as well known as possible that there's two off-market sort of things. So you have the private listing network through the MLS. So
Okay.
we call that acronym for short PLN. There's a lot of active listings, really anywhere, any market space, any pocket in the city, in the Chicagoland area, whether it's south, west, or northwest. So PLN is a great resource. We're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of deals getting done in the private listing network, but also one great thing about Compass as well, the nation's largest independent
Right.
brokerage, which I'm a part of, Seagram Fine Homes team, as well as the Michael Cathy team in the Naples, Florida market, is that we have one up on the PLN, which is the private exclusive network.
Which is within Compass, right?
Exactly,
I've heard about that,
exactly.
yeah.
And then
So-
what we're trying to do, just so the general public and the viewers of the podcast can understand, is that, Zillow and the Google algorithm, as far as consumers searching for a home, searching as a buyer or a seller, maybe they're a seller wanting to see what's the Zestimate on my home, or
That's always helpful.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It can
goodness,
be
yeah, right.
super inaccurate. It can be fairly accurate or not accurate
Right.
at all. It's kind of again that you need the agent to touch on it, the broker touch, to really drag in a lot of certain things. I mean, even the appraiser office, say you did an expansion to your home or something like that, and it's unknown, that's square footage, that's,
Right.
Conforming square footage. So, there's a lot of things that we have to address when putting together a market analysis, but from the buyer perspective as well, scouring those markets to go back on it, anything that syndicates from the MLS that's just active, not in private PLN or private exclusive through Compass, you don't see it on Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, Redfin, you name it, one of the many.
So what are you seeing then with buyers then if you're taking them out? I mean, is it just, I'm not going to say a waste of time because it's in there, but it's challenging, I would say.
It's very challenging.
That's what I meant to get at, right?
Exceptionally challenging.
Right.
And, more than ever, like we were talking about the .com type of lenders that are
Right.
doing the refi where it's
Right.
really cookie cutter. This is not a cookie cutter type of market. You can't
Right.
operate your business with a cookie cutter mentality. And I just wanted to bring up kind of a little quote, which is, good markets create lazy agents. Bad markets create great agents.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you
Yeah.
have to do the work.
Yeah.
Who you hires matters. I mean, I'm at late nights, early mornings. What I do is this type of a reverse osmosis process, I like to call it, in any market space where I'm representing a buyer that's agreed to hire me. And I feel like, if you're going to sign, and in the event that, the seller is not going to be paying, the co-op commission, and this buyer owes me commission now, again, very, very rare, hardly run into anything like
Right.
this. You sure have to do your work, especially in a market like this. So what I do is, again, reverse osmosis. I look for what I call listing leaders in any market space. And it's really easy to find. You just kind of backtrack a year, 2 years of sales. in a market space, and you're going to see duplicates of names, you know.
Oh, I see.
So
Got it.
this name pops up, this name within any market space, depending on how large it is, how many doors, how dense it is, really.
Okay.
You're going to come up with anywhere from a handful, just shy of a dozen names that are going to be your listing leaders for that market. And in identifying them, it's now, you know, it's advantageous here moving forward too. You know, this is going back to slow markets create great agents,
Right.
because now I'm doing a ton of due diligence.
Because you wouldn't have to in a busy market, because you'd be able to find something right away.
They're right off
It's
the
right
shelf.
there,
I don't
correct,
have to know who the listing leader is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I found
Right.
it right then and there.
But you're
Active
doing
on
your work
MLS or
now, that
PLN.
matters.
Exactly.
But
Everything's
but
off market.
But that's not taking
Yeah.
into account the NAR settlement or anything like that.
What's that, sorry?
The NAR settlement doesn't take that into account. Like,
Not
you
at
know,
all.
what are they getting paid
Not
for?
at all. Yeah.
I think it came around at the time when during things were flying off the shelf. So you
Yeah.
have people, why did I have my house sold in 3 days? Why did I have to pay anything? Type of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah. It's
So-
easy. It's
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, it's not like, oh, well, you know, like our fees are cyclical, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, we don't have to work as hard, so we're going to take kind of less of a fee.
Yeah, right.
You know, it'll all kind of average out over time through
Right.
different market spaces, you know? So right now, who you hire matters more than ever. You know, who has the time, who has the expertise and the knowledge, you know, to do that. If you're hiring a buyer broker, when you sit down with them, you know, again, I would recommend it as opposed to going on Zillow and calling the listing agent and operating in a non-rep type of fashion,
Right.
or a dual agency type of fashion too. You do want you want an allegiant, you know, buyer broker, but you also want a strong advocate for you that's going to do, you know, that work. You know, that late night, those
Right.
early mornings, reverse osmosis, finding the listing leader, staying
And that's
in
networking
contact.
out in that area. That's that
Networking, exactly.
Yeah.
Text, email, phone call. The squeaky wheel gets the grease,
Right.
you know?
And that's a big deal. Yeah.
In due process and time, it happens, and it always happens. So it's painstaking, but, you know, again,
It pays off over time when things
if you
get
want
easy.
your
Yeah.
paycheck paid on performance, as
Right.
you well know, you have to earn it now. And it requires a lot of hard work.
So in this day and age, with, as you mentioned, the Zillows and all that, everything can be done online. Do you get your buyers over the hump to say, this is why, you know, the benefit of working with me, rather than just viewing stuff? I mean, you have to actually educate them,
Yes.
because we've gone through the same thing in the
Uh-huh.
mortgage industry. Can I give an example? I have a past client. I've been doing his loan since 2009, and he called me to, you know, do a refinance, and he says he started working with an online lender.
Okay.
And he told me the rate. I go, can you send me what
Uh-huh.
they're sending you? And I go, why did you do that? And we've done all these transactions. Well, it started because it was online. It was easy to start.
Yeah.
He sent to me this morning. They were charging him $20,000 in points for his
Oh,
loan.
wow.
And-
Okay.
But the rate looked so appealing. So, you
Uh-huh.
know, doing this long enough, you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, the rate's not realistic. I
Uh-huh.
go, why? I go, you're going to pay $20,000.
Yeah,
for this.
the hidden
So
expenses,
it's
the
that
hidden costs,
concept.
yeah.
Like, and that's an extreme example, of
Uh-huh.
course, but it's just, there is a human value to what let's see why this isn't obviously not worth it.
Absolutely.
Take the higher rate where it's at now. But it's the same thing. The ease with what you can get over the internet
Uh-huh.
is completely absent of any type of human interaction.
Absolutely.
That you're looking out for your client's interest, because that's your best interest too,
Yep.
type of thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't, in good conscience, say, okay, here's your loan application, and I need $20,000 just to sit at the table
No.
with me. Goodness gracious.
Doesn't make
So,
any sense.
No,
Absolutely
whatsoever. Right.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's a bait and switch type of thing.
well, he didn't even
looked
see it.
at
He didn't even realize. I looked him today. I just opened up the document. Okay, well, I don't even have to look at it anymore. It's what they're charging you this much just to work with them.
Yeah.
Let's talk later today. This is not something that benefits you at all. So,
Yeah, all the more reason, you know.
yeah. So that's the example I give, that you have to, that was an easy, you know, sell type of thing, but that concept that everything's easier online
Yeah.
is the challenge. There's
yeah,
the
debunk
intangibles.
that myth, you know.
Yeah. So-
And that's some myths, some common myths in the market.
Right.
I did want to talk about debunking some too. Also, from the seller's perspective, not
Okay.
only the buyer. We've been
Right.
talking a lot about, you know, the buyer's perspective. A lot of buyers, it's not even a fact of FOMO, fear of missing out or anything like that, because there's nothing to miss out on, you know. So we've covered that who you hire matters. You know, you got to find, you know, your buyer's agent, your buyer broker that's a strong advocate for you, that's going to stir up some off market opportunity for you, you know. That you know, there's many reasons why people are going to sell a home, but now in doing so, we're talking to certain sellers that would like to have their home on the market, but you know, the fear for sellers are, where am I going to go? You know, I do want to sell, but
oh, yeah.
where do I go now? So
okay.
yeah.
Oh, so it's like it's almost plain that like, what am I going to? I'll be out.
Yeah,
if I
they're going to
sell
get
this,
trapped.
yeah.
They're going to find themselves trapped. So, okay, we can get, a very high sales price for our home, right? Because there's no inventory and you got a buyer coming to them, preferably cash. So
Right.
we don't even have to appraise really. And, that buyer is going to get what they want. Sellers are also going to get what they want as far as a very desirable, probably above fair market value price for their home.
But yeah.
Now that seller finds himself in a trapped predicament. So, we're going to sell. Where do we go? And here's the thing, a buyer typically has a holding pattern, whether it's renting, maybe they're from a different market space, something like that. Maybe they're looking for an alternative property, a second home. There's many, many reasons, but what sellers need to understand is that they're in the driver's seat in a market like this still. It's a nationwide shift from seller to buyer market. And I see two different market spaces.
But not necessarily though if they can't find a place to live either then. So,
no, it's a sleepy seller's market, I say.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So what sellers should understand are there's two things that you can always do. Again, remember, you're in the seller, you're in the driver's seat, as a seller here. So you're going to be looking at an off-market deal possibly. You're going to be getting a very favorable purchase price for your home, very, very good terms, obviously, if you have a buyer coming cash in hand without you even putting in an MLS, possibly two brokers representing the transaction, because for me, I'm looking for those listing leaders, those listing agents that, are working with the seller. But now the seller has to understand that, you can mitigate, being trapped by, say, a post-occupancy, so a post-closing occupancy agreement, which is, ever evolving. You're going to come up with your initial terms on that, but you can always amend that agreement, giving you a little bit more time for that seller to then find where they're going to shift into. So what it's really turning into is, it's very, very dynamic. Nothing is cookie cutter at all.
That's a lot of work, right?
Exactly.
There's just a lot of work going on.
Exactly. And now that buyer has to work.
From a lending, let's say hypothetically they are getting a loan, from a lending side, that post-occupancy has got to be limited to less than 60 days. Because if they're buying the place owner occupied, they have to occupy the property within that 60 days.
Yeah.
So there's other parameters. I had that situation last year when we were at 61. I go, guys, just give me 2 more days. Because he's signing, that's how it works. So there's things, like you said, there's moving parts of that. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good way to go to
exactly.
Now, being late January, do you see things, more inventory coming up in the next few months? Or what this is, the spring market, but this is when it usually starts.
Train of thought. Yeah, everything's going to start picking up a little bit. Super Bowl comes up February 9th here, and that's kind of like the benchmark for the opening of the market, right? So, Super Bowl comes and goes. As we hit mid-Feb into late February, we should see an influx of inventory on the market. There's a lot of property out there too right now that, buyers are unaware of. People aren't going to do your facade photos to launch, late winter sort of thing, So there's signed listing agreements out there just preemptively waiting to hit the market. And
this is where the networking comes in handy.
Like
you're already talking to other agents, just so I have this coming on the market, rather than you're not going to find this on Zillow. I did my homework.
Yes.
This is what's coming. No one, like you said, no one's going to take a picture of something with snow or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Just that's a huge difference. I have to bring that up because this online concept, we're 25 years into it, and it still hasn't taken over the world, at least in our industry.
It never will. They never will. You can't take the personal touch out of it. Great artwork, isn't done digitally by AI or anything like that. It's done by hand by, well-renowned artists, that sort of thing, as an analogy, I guess. But so again, back to it, we should see the market start to ramp up, particularly mid to late February as we evolve into, the summer months.
Okay. Well, let's go a little into the market. The big story. My goodness, we're going almost on March of 2022 is when rates went up. So that's almost 3 years. And I think the further away we get from, the lockdown and 3% rates and settle into reality, that's kind of settling in, because what we dealt with in 2022 was, I'm going to wait for rates to go down.
Exactly.
Now. And you have to put that in perspective. Those were clearly unique times that, 30, 40 years now, you can't even imagine. You can't go outside. You can't talk to people. You can't do anything. Think about how weird that was. And all
very
that.
strange.
So And the main factor is the Federal Reserve printed $5 trillion of money to inject in the economy, which caused the rates to go down.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's never going to happen again because it's not good. That eventually causes inflation, which we hit. They don't ever want to do that again. I don't think they ever will, because over time when things settle and you look at the backlash of something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think what people have settled, is we're hovering in the high 6s, low 7s.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, those are good rates.
Absolutely.
And you just have to remind your people that refinancing is always an option with rates drop. So don't let that hold you back. But I think people are away from that now. We're seeing a lot of activity, as I mentioned when we started. The pre-approvals, the interest, an email today, someone who's searching last February and now emailed me today. I'm back on the market. So back on the market, which is a good thing.
Yes.
So we're going to see where that goes. The challenge is the inventory. And I think that may be like another learning curve, right? Okay, we're over that hump that rates are realistic. Now, if there's not a lot of inventory, okay, so what's out there then? What's realistic?
This is the new norm, right? Where we're at now.
Yeah, like my first condo was a 700 square foot in a high rise. It wasn't my dream home, but it got me my first place, right?
Exactly. And I'm sure you saw some good capital appreciation over time. You and I were discussing the time investment in real estate, right? The Warren Buffett strategy. You're not going to make a quick buck on it, you know, and again, if it's your home, in this market space, people hold on to a home, they build their family there.
And historically, in real estate, even we were talking before, that even, we were talking about the Florida market in Chicago, that, after 07, 08 recession, when people were just, I'm done with real estate.
Exactly.
Well, the people who would have held on and bought, they'd be doing fine now. That's the Warren Buffett, hold for the long term. So I think people are starting to, I'm wondering then, as you're having those challenges with the buyers, they realize, okay, this is what's available. Let me get more realistic my expectations. Because I think we're over the hump as far as the interest rates. This is where they're at. Maybe now if there's less inventory, all right, this is what's available. I can always upgrade down the road if I just need to buy a place.
That's it.
That's just my prediction. I'm hoping we get to that point.
For sure.
So.
And I agree with you. The rates aren't the question. It's not the pressing issue anymore. It's the inventory. That's the pressing issue. So, and on the topic inventory, I would definitely like to segue into, my market expertise into the Southwest Florida market. As we know, again,
so that's kind of a different market now, right?
Completely different.
Because I remember Florida, everyone wants to be in Florida, right? Which means, especially during COVID, there was a rush to just get to this,
big time
sun, vitamin D, it's best for virus and all that. So there had to be overpriced, overbuilding, all that stuff, right?
It's going on. I mean, it's absolutely going on. The infrastructure is bursting at the seams, in that Naples, Florida market. Tons of new projects going on. Kalia Bay still wrapping up there in North Naples. We have the Ritz-Carlton residences off of Vanderbilt Beach. A lot of mid-rise condominium buildings, a lot of luxury retail below. Just very, very much gentrifying that area. Furthermore, North Naples. It's always been, Naples is known as 5th Avenue, 3rd Street, South Naples, the old Naples area. But now it's moving north.
North Naples, right? That's started with Pelican Bay and then, type of thing.
Pelican Bay.
So with that, though, it's kind of a different market because it's a lot of secondary and stuff. But it's always the place to be. And if I remember when I was lending there after the recession there, you saw the correction, but it was still a happening place. Type of thing. It wasn't like you had in Chicago, I'm not buying again, and everyone's going to be a renter. It's like, I still want to be there, but you had to adjust because it's overbought, overpriced for a while. And it's just, that's what the market does, right? It corrects itself, right? Which kind of made sense if what happened during the lockdown of COVID, I would think, right? So,
absolutely.
So how are you? That's kind of flipped. Then the sellers have to face reality,
it's
right?
The complete opposite of what we're seeing here, and also, the season, the height of season, selling season, let's say, don't run, parallel to one another.
Okay, what's that?
So we're in the height of season. So for the Southwest Florida market, the Kathy Michael team with Compass, we have a tremendous amount of inventory. Just our team has a lot of inventory on the market right now, and a lot of inventory that remains to sit. We just had a couple closings. We have some pending, ready to close, but we do have a need for price reductions with quite a few properties.
Is that people think, I missed the market, so I'm going to? It's like a bad trade. There was the trade. I need to get my money back on that trade. Well, that's past. This is where we're at now.
It is.
I only because I used to be a trader, and a lot of the mistakes we would make if you're looking at a screen. When I segued onto a screen. That was my trade. I'm down money, but I'm going to wait till I get that back. Well, that's past.
That ship has sailed. And you can still do well.
Unless they don't want to sell, then hang on for a long time.
For sure.
Now,
that's one thing. But we have inventory ramping up. It's above healthy.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's plenty to choose from. And again, if you're in this market space, you know, thinking that, you know, a lot of these sellers here are like, oh man, you know, so if you're making a lateral move in the Chicagoland area,
Right.
you know, it's tough. You know, it's a tricky, sticky position, right? You're going to get stuck possibly. And that's what we talked about earlier here in the segment. But if you're making a shift between markets, particularly the funnel market from the suburbs here to the shorelines of Southwest Florida, Naples greater area, you know, don't hesitate. You
Just
know, you're going to get there's tons of buyers for your home, almost guaranteed. And there's tons of inventory to choose from, so don't let that be a deterring factor in
And how's the
selling
rental
if you're
market
moving.
there? Still a strong rental market, or
So the rental market's strong. I was actually
like
talking
if people
to
wanted to buy for an investment, just to, you know, at some point, like I would tell people, it's a great place just to park your money if you don't know, because it's. If it's
it was
yeah,
so
that's
there was
changed
a
too.
huge influx. So it's
Right.
definitely you know, there's a macroeconomic type of perspective there, to where there was a massive influx of investors with COVID. You
Right,
know,
of
a
course,
lot of
yeah.
people it was all work from home. So why would you work from home, you know, in the beautiful winter months
Right.
Of Florida, you know, and wait it out, you know? So instead
Right.
of being on Zoom, you know, in your home here
Right.
with the
Locked
doom
up.
and gloom
Right.
and snow, go down to Florida, right? Get yourself a short-term rental for
Right.
January, February, March.
That was a big deal.
Exactly. And now people are returning back to the office. And also, I spoke with an investor client of mine. There's so much hemped up kind of demand to travel abroad. So there's a lot. So Europe is seeing a massive influx
really?
of Americans. Yeah. So the rental market is taking a massive shift, especially the seasonal short-term rental market in the Naples, Florida area, greater
Same
area.
as the purchase market, then, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Same as we're talking about interest rates, the 3%. That wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
Let's get back to normal now.
Uh-huh.
Let's get back to normal.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So just to make it, you know, pretty sweet and short here, if you're a seller here in this market in Chicago and you're wanting to retire and move to Florida, this is the time to do it. I would highly recommend, you know, linking up with a great, you know, listing agent broker. I'm sure happy to discuss this with you and talk about making that move, especially, you know, to Southwest Florida, which, you know, I have a strong stakehold in that market, and we can absolutely find you
It was 5 degrees last week, so
It was,
and
yeah,
78 down there.
And I was in Florida last week, and it was we had our you know, our little bit of cold snap
I
over
saw
there.
that,
We
yeah, I
had
saw
10
that.
inches of snow in Pensacola.
I saw that.
But it didn't hit Southwest Florida. More reason to be there. Don't move to Pensacola. No, I'm kidding.
We were down there in December, and my
Yeah.
oldest son was talking, and my his sister and younger sister and brother made fun of him because he asked if it ever snows in Florida, and they just pounced on him. And a week later, he sent a text. Look, there's snow in Florida.
There's tons
they thought
of
it was
snow.
the dumbest thing you could possibly say. Does it ever snow here? And they made fun of him for like a day, and then he just texted. He went back to school and he texted the snow in Florida.
It's crazy.
There you go.
It was wild.
That doesn't
More
last.
snow in Florida than the Midwest,
Right,
from
but
what
that
I
doesn't
hear.
last.
but-
That's gone now, right? It's already
it's
gone.
gone. Yeah, it's back to beautiful weather.
Why bother
Sunshine.
shoveling? It's going to be gone in a few days. Why would they bother shoveling? Just stay inside for a
Exactly.
few days. It's
It'll
gonna be
melt.
gone.
Sun will come
Yeah.
out. You know, it'll blow over there. So.
That's interesting.
It was
Yeah.
good. I just, you know, like I'm not sure, like if people are, you know, in this market sellers and they're like hesitant to sell if they want to retire. Even if you're thinking about retiring and you're in a position to retire and you want to move to Southwest Florida,
But-
this upcoming selling season is the season for you.
But they should think about it. Not even just that, though. I mean, I guess if you're selling, right? But
Yeah.
even to lock it down for the future, because that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we did when we bought. I
Uh-huh.
just said, this is that gives me the option to retire. Then I'm going to lock it down now. So I have a place in Florida.
For sure.
But that's for retirement down the road. type
Oh,
of thing.
yeah.
So that's like I would say, I would just keep that option open. But yeah, it's no state income tax.
No, exactly,
big
exactly.
deal, yeah.
So here's the thing: no state income tax, right? But do be wary of flood insurance. So again,
Yeah.
that's you know, when you're a seller in this market, moving into the Southwest Florida market, now's the time. If you're thinking about retiring, you want to maximize your home sale price here in the Chicagoland market. It is, you know, come February, March, April, it's your time to go. You
Right.
know, then you know the Florida market is already plenty to pick from. The shelves are fully loaded and stocked. So what's going to happen is, you know, as we shift past April into the summer months of Florida, you're going to start to see more price reduction. So it's kind of a Goldilocks position if you're on the fence of wanting to make the move now from Chicago to Florida. And, you know, it's important. no state income tax. Yes, that's always been a driver for the Florida market,
Right.
but do understand the flood insurance premiums. If you do have to pay flood insurance premiums, you want to know, because they're 4x, 5x. Sometimes these properties are non-insurable. So
Yes, yeah.
find yourself somebody that's familiar with the market there. Kathy Michael team, my partner and I and our affiliates, 3 generations in that market space.
That's
We
important.
know the pockets.
But that's very
Yeah.
important because that's a shocker. Like, wait,
It
I have no
is.
state income tax, but here's your insurance.
Exactly.
Especially in a single family home.
For sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
goodness, right, yeah.
Definitely. So,
That's
and the
interesting,
increased
right.
condo fees.
Does it matter? Maybe a dumb question. Distance from the shore insurance, is that like if you're way inland, or it doesn't matter? They're just insurance wise. Like
So
hurricane, I'm thinking
basically,
hurricane,
they throw a big net, on it. So if you're in a floodplain, you're in a floodplain.
I got it. Okay.
Really,
It's that a floodplain. So
Yeah.
it's all of Naples, all that's in a floodplain.
You're all in a flood
Yeah.
zone, but you're out of a special flood hazard area for
I'm a
some
lender.
areas.
I know that. Dumb question.
No,
So,
no such thing as dumb questions either, and that's why we do this.
Right.
So let's take the guesswork out of
Yeah.
it. Definitely take the guesswork out of the referral process
Right.
from this market to that market. We have we have it all right here.
Right.
Concierge style of service, all in house. We can get you from here to Florida, no problem.
Got it.
So
That's interesting then, how Florida's kind of a flip market, but it's the take, like you said, if you're in Chicago thinking of Florida, it's almost perfect timing. It's like a perfect storm.
it's
Take advantage of it
absolutely
now,
the
so.
perfect storm right now. Maximize home sale price. You got plenty to pick from. I mean, it's literally liquidation
Yeah,
outlet,
right. Just going
in
there,
the
step right in. Yeah, so that's
that
good.
market space.
That's good stuff. Like to finish off there, the contrast between Florida and the Chicagoland area, but more importantly, the value of working with the right people.
Who
is
you
really,
hire
really
matters.
important. Absolutely.
Find
Just the
yourself-
examples we gave. Yeah.
Yep.
Make
So-
your life easier. Just make your life easier.
It does.
So,
It does. And you're going to miss out on tons of opportunity. If you've earmarked a Zillow property and you're waiting to go see that open house, it's probably going to sell before that.
Right.
It's going to take you forever and a day to get
Okay,
yourself
yeah.
in somewhere. And don't be scared about hiring, the buyer broker in this
Right.
market here. Just sit down and see what their systems are. What are you going to do for me?
make that, at least that inquiry.
Exactly. Just those. It's all key. It's key. Off-market opportunities are key. Even if it's in private exclusive with Compass or the private listing network. More preferably, get it completely off the shelves before it's that signed a listing agreement. Like we said, it's probably going to go up end of February, March, April, something like that. We're just waiting for those sellers to either identify where they're going to go. Where are they going to make that
Right.
shift? Have they identified a property to transition into? Therefore, expediting the process of putting their home on the market. Get them before that happens.
Right.
And if necessary, just work again, like we said, with a post-closing occupancy agreement or some sort of seller lease back,
Yeah.
to that buyer who's now the new homeowner.
That information right there is stuff
Yeah.
you're not getting online. So
Not at all. Not at all.
Good stuff today, right? I
Yep,
think we
absolutely.
covered that. I don't want to go into the market and all that because that was really good stuff. I
Yep.
think so.
No, this was a great segment.
Suburbs of Sandy Shorelines, number 3.
Number 3. That's
we
it.
go.
Out of the way. On to the next. Number 4 coming your way soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Bye-bye.